As we progress through this month with the worship theme of finding our center, today's question is, what is at the center of congregational life? And I am not used to using this. Our church is bound together by common ideals of how we want to be as individuals, how we want to be as a church community, and how we want to be in the wider world. As is true for most Unitarian Universalist churches, we have a set of guiding statements that we as a congregation created for ourselves. Such guiding statements are known by various names: mission, vision, ends, goals, purposes. At MSUS, our guiding statements include a set of shared values, a mission statement, and 9 end statements. Because these statements are designed to fit together, we typically present our trio of guiding statements under the title, A Vision for MSUS. Each part of our vision has a purpose. Our shared values ground us. Our mission inspires us. Our end statements describe how we wish to make a difference. There is a risk for any organization that these guiding statements become just words without holding any real meaning. I'd hate for that to be the case at MSUS. All the parts of our vision, the values, the mission statement, and the end statements were generated with input from the congregation, and therefore they name the values, hopes, and dreams that we know are widely shared at MSUS. What I have come to love about them is that they capture the heart of who we are, while at the same time giving shape to our aspirations. And our aspirations call us not so much to be something different, but rather to grow into a more loving and expansive version of who we already are. The vision we hold for ourselves can truly serve to center us, even when we are being tossed about by the winds of change. When asked, many people say that they are part of a church for the community. Building upon our values, which Lynn shared at the beginning of this service, I think our mission statement describes beautifully the special kind of community that is MSUS. So let's take a little walk through our mission statement and see what's there for us. We begin, the mission of the MSUS community of all ages. Right out of the gate, we name an aspiration to be a multi-generational community. We know a bit of what this looked like before the pandemic, and we are discovering as we go what forms an intergenerational community will take next. We may have a longing to see all ages on a Sunday morning, as we recall we did in the past, but our aspiration should speak more to finding ways to nourish all ages and to seeking the wisdom to be found in the voices of the littlest ones to the voices of our elders. With this statement, we also commit to creating spaces that make joining us easier no matter what our age. And as in the story that Reverend Diana shared, we need to pack along some willingness to change and be changed, so that all may feel a sense of belonging here. The mission of the MSUS community of all ages is to celebrate an actively examined faith. This is such a key difference from many non-UU churches. Here, we expect that we will question and discuss and work out for ourselves what are the principles by which we want to live. We acknowledge that how we understand the world individually and collectively will shift over time. So this examination of what we believe and hold dear is not a once and done event. It is an active, lifelong endeavor. Sometimes we might experience a barely perceptible shift in our outlook. Other times we might encounter something that completely turns our world around. If we are to celebrate an actively examined faith, then part of the purpose of our programs and activities must be to provide opportunities to learn and expand our understanding of ourselves and each other. The mission of the MSUS community of all ages is to celebrate an actively examined faith, challenging one another with loving kindness. This phrase calls us into accountability. It builds an expectation that we will be open to personal growth, and it opens the door for us to support that growth in each other as well as ourselves. A poem, a song, a sermon, a meal, a conversation, our hearing of someone else's story. These are the ways in which we are lovingly challenged within this community. And what is our challenge? The mission of the MSUS community of all ages is to celebrate an actively examined faith, challenging one another with loving kindness, to be our best selves and work for a flourishing world. Our challenge is to change how we think and act so that we go about in the world ever more aligned with our values. We can learn to notice when there is an opportunity to be a little more kind, to listen a little more deeply, to find the courage to speak up, to love ourselves a little more, to extend a helping hand. And beyond the individual actions we take, we must consider with some regularity what larger actions we might take as a community that help us to reach out into the wider community to share the unique gifts of our congregation. We do this because we understand that our choices, our actions, make a difference. And we trust that by participating in the life of this MSUS community, we assist in the flourishing of the world. I hope you find our mission inspiring. Our mission statement does not stand alone. Grounded in our values and inspired by our mission, we defined ends statements to further guide our activities and programs, to help figure out priorities because we can't possibly grow into all of our aspirations at once, and to discern which opportunities will receive an enthusiastic yes and when we must say no. I will pull in ideas from our end statements in the next part of my remarks, though I won't be listing each of them. I imagine not everybody has them completely memorized. We will go through them all as part of the forum, and you can find a link to the vision for MSUS under the heading About on our website. For today's service, I have been reflecting on how our activities and choices in the past few years have been guided by our vision as it is expressed in our end statements. This is but a snippet of how our congregational life is grounded and centered. We have just lived through a worldwide pandemic, or maybe it's not over yet. But no matter what the history books eventually define as the start and end of it, over the course of 5 days in March of 2020, we moved from the then totally normal mode of gathering together in our church sanctuary to meeting in an entirely new to us format called Zoom for Sunday services, meetings, and events. In the uncertainty of those first few weeks, we had just enough technology and know-how to try moving Sunday services to an online format. As it became clear that this would be a long-term situation, we more intentionally dedicated resources to creating an accessible and inviting online space for as many activities as possible. Though forced upon us by circumstance, this shift was aligned with our end statements, which speak of grounding ourselves in ritual and practice as we do in our Sunday services, creating a community of intentional care and support, and providing radical hospitality for all. Gathering online was not well suited for everyone, nor for every kind of event or gathering. There are people and events that we missed. Yet that online space was a lively space for this congregation. When the time came, we embraced the opportunity to gather in person again. Guided by the same end statements that led us into online gathering, we found this gathering space at the Fridley Community Center, which is physically accessible and spacious, and we remain committed to enabling online participation. I can attest that managing the technology which merges this or any physical space with our online Zoom room is no small feat. I am deeply grateful that we have a crew of dedicated folks who embrace our vision of inclusivity and tend to the technical aspects of running our events. Our vision must be one that we are eager to embrace. Another of our end statements is to extend a visible invitation to spiritual seekers in our broader community. Even before the pandemic pushed nearly everything online, updating our website was in the works. The pandemic only increased the importance of an engaging and accessible online front door. Yes, we had named an intention of extending a visible invitation, and it took some strong winds of change to finally place this particular task at the highest priority. Hiring new staff always presents an opportunity to consider what's important now. Indeed, when we hired Reverend Diana and Colleen, we created new job descriptions and new job titles to reflect the priorities we have expressed with our end statements. Naming our aspirations helps to set priorities when, honestly, everything is important. Centering on our vision helps us to shift what we do or how we do it in response to changes beyond our control. Before we sold it last spring, our Oakley Drive building had been our only home for the life of this congregation. Our building was very much the center of our activities, as any home would be. We gave it attentive care as we maintained it over the years. Even when we were barely using it because of the pandemic, our building received our attention. For goodness sake, we needed to get new furnaces during that time. The exploration and conversation that eventually led us to sell our Oakley Drive building was grounded in an effort to understand how our vision and our building work together. Having been unable yet to locate a suitable alternate building, we consulted architects for a deep dive into renovation options, seeking creative solutions to accessibility concerns and creating a gathering space that felt truly welcoming to all, with a commitment to online access and new consideration of air quality and spaciousness. The specific things we prioritized in a building renovation came from our vision for who and how we want to be. Despite our yearning to make our prior building work for us, and because of our yearning to expand the ways in which we live our mission, we came to the conclusion that even expansion and renovation would not be enough to truly align with the vision we set forth. So we took a huge leap of faith that our vision would lead us into our next chapter, and we let go of that particular building. The time from when a few people seriously considered selling our building without first purchasing another to when we had a congregational vote to do just that was just a few months. But we had been wrestling for a long time with how to have a building that was more in alignment with our values and our mission. Holding our vision at the center may not bring easy answers. Holding our vision as the center will sometimes push us out of our comfort zone and set us on an unexpected path. This is a truly unique moment in the history of our congregation. As we decide about our next step and the next one after that, whether we are reacting to forces beyond our control or deliberately charting a new course, our shared values will ground us, our mission will inspire us, and our ends statements held at the center our intention to make a difference. May it be so. In my remarks, I shared how the mission statement itself impacts me, and now we have time for some congregational response, and I would love to hear what words or phrases from our values and our mission statement most inspire you, or feel centering to you, perhaps, when you think about planning our future together. So, take a moment to breathe and think about that. And then if anyone has any immediate thoughts, we can collect those a little. And it is enough to pick one word that you would grab a hold of from any of those guiding statements.
You mentioned it, and it also stuck out to me when I was reviewing the vision and preparation for today's meeting, that the intergenerational aspects of our mission are very important to me. And certainly being here, listening to the laughter of some of our young adults next door is very important, and I hope that we continue to embrace that as we move forward.
I think the word flourishing is interesting and challenging. I was on the task force that worked on that, and we struggled over that word for a long time. And what does it mean, and why would we include it? And not that I have any articulate answers right now. I certainly embrace the concept. I see a lot of people out there in the world who are not doing as well as I'd like to see. And so I think it's just a thought-provoking, challenging word.
Are there any responses online to be shared?
Yes, Janice.
The phrase courageous love really speaks to me because I somewhat equate that with kindness. And so courageous love and kindness are things I've been thinking a lot about for the last couple of years. And there are just so many different kinds of love and so many different kinds of kindnesses that we can do.
Thanks, Pat. Hi there, my name is Polly. I too, Janice, love courageous love, but I think of it for myself, I interpret it a little differently. I think of it to try and love those people that I very easily can call my enemy. Those people with different human views, those with different social issue views. And I don't have an answer yet, but it makes my brain think about embracing those people with love. And that's where I'm at.
Good morning, I'm Kevin. I've never seen the old building, and yet I hear it spoken with reverence and warmth. But it was quite the leap of faith that you took to be able to say goodbye to a structure to continue to nurture community. So my experience has only been here, and I feel community, and I see the dedication of faith.
Are there any additional thoughts from online?
I see no other hands raised online, but if I'm missing you, please unmute and speak.
I'm Marie, and I don't know if this is one of the words, but growth. We've all had lots of different ideas about growth, and I've been really concerned about the kids aren't coming, and I
found my viewpoints changing a little bit as we discuss things. And I said, what was okay in my time is not necessarily working for the adults in this time, the adults with children. So it's been interesting. So we really do need to be open.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights, and Lynn will lead us on to the next part of our service.